Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is my long-awaited arrival of the Brian's Optik 2 goalie pads. So I did a feature review of the Optik 2 when they came out and compared them against, at the time, my Optik 1s. I no longer have my Optik 1s because I decided to buy a pair of these, so I moved on from those, sold them, moved on to them, got these. So these obviously directly replace my Optik 1, same colorway, everything like that. So I'll be doing a full review on these once I get to use them. For the time being, this is just going to be an unboxing showing some options I did and some of the different things I changed, stuff like that. And I'll kind of show the sizing of these compared to, I have a XL Bauer here, just to give people an idea. So first of all, to get this out of the way really quick, Brian still includes a pair of knee guards with their pads, which I think is a great idea. It's just a nice thing to do. You're paying like $2,100 for pads. It's nice to not have to buy knee guards as well. Personally, I use 1X knee guards because I think they're better than these. But these are nice as a throw-in. Warrior does it too. Bauer and CCM should get back on that. With that said, this is what they include. It has this tab that can connect if you pull this piece out, and you can connect it that way so you don't have to wear a guard or anything, and it holds in that way. I don't really use these, so those will be going away. I did a lot of things differently for this set than what I did on the first Optics. And Brian's told me that they made some changes to this pad for some of the things I was critical about on the Optik 1s. So I kind of talked about that in my comparison video, but I'm going to talk about this more on these because I did some changes to these too to make them even closer to what I like. So I'm really excited to get these on the ice. I have 3 games in 3 days, starting tomorrow, or well, today probably when this video goes up. So that will be great for me to use that. There'll be a bunch of gameplay footage with that. So starting right off the bat, I did some things that are different, and I kind of teased some people on Instagram and stuff like that of, can you spot the differences? One, I custom graphicked this, and by custom graphicked, I mean I added 2 lines. So this line right here, this red one and this blue one, are my idea and my design into it. Normally, it's this line right here that can be colored that separates these 2 graphics. I have a thing about like symmetry. I did it with my genetics where I added a piece of color on the bottom because I wanted all the kind of orange to be outlined with black, and so the white was kind of always outlined with black. I sort of did it on these where blue you have green, green you have blue, stuff like that. I wanted that same thing on the Optics, so that's what I did. I thought just having this white, all white without any color going into this was not enough for me. It wasn't enough, like, not symmetry, but just the design wasn't enough there for me. So I had them add this, and I did it on all the little pieces throughout the side of the pad, on the blocker and stuff like that. Small, but I wasn't going to be satisfied unless I did something to this because I couldn't really get design I really, really liked until I did this. Another thing you'll probably notice right away is I swapped out the materials a lot. I always do that. I always try to use as much materials as I can to show the differences in the colors. So like obviously you have matte, you have weave, and then you have normal white Gen Pro, and then you have the weave Gen Pro. So I tried to make it use multiple materials as much as possible. I did miss putting the normal, and there's a weave again in there. I didn't put the normal blue on there. I can't remember why I didn't do that. I just ended up not doing it. I was originally going to do it, but I feel the weave and the matte kind of show off really well together. So there's that. So I did that but at the same time, and I kind of regret doing this right now, I put matte on the top because I really like the look of matte pads in photos. And when I see like videos of it, I really like how the matte really pops and stands out. It kind of looks brighter and like more blue than this does. This looks almost like a royal. It's the same. Sorry, this almost looks navy, but it's royal. I just like how this one pops a little bit more. The reason I kind of regret that is I know that this is going to wear a bit a bit more on the corners than it would have as a normal Gen Pro. I have that visible on some of my older pads. My older Optics had that on the roll, and that was somewhere. It's gonna be super minor. It's not gonna really affect anything, but originally I was gonna break these up, so this was weave, but it honestly would have cost too much money to do custom graphic that way, so I just left it the way it was. But yeah, so you can see blocker matches. The catching glove I did a 180 on, if you can notice. So if you actually do these up in the customizer, this is red and this is blue. And I felt when you're just looking at it like this, it looks a little weird because the red ends up being at the top of the pad when really it's the blue that's at the top. And then the outer part, well, the outermost part ends up being blue when really it's the innermost part. So I decided to switch that. Now, if you put it like this, it would have matched the graphic, but I never hold my glove like that. At most, it's like this. So, and usually it's kind of like that. So I mix that up. I do that a lot with my stuff. If you haven't noticed, I did on my Bauer 2X Pros as well. I think this ends up looking very good in terms of the rest of the set, especially with the red on the T right there and the red pocket. It kind of makes that whole red on the outer part there look pretty good, at least in my opinion. So yeah, so that's about it for the whole set as a whole. I'll do individual, we'll move to different video or different side piece for the gloves later and a closer view of this. But for now, for a sizing, we'll throw this on the table. For a sizing, we have 36 plus 1 in an XL. So we put them next to each other and they line up almost perfectly. Hopefully this shows off. Looking almost perfect. This one's a tiny bit straighter. This one has a little bit more rake to the knee, but they're pretty similar. When you flatten them out too, the knees are right at the same spot. Everything's really close. They're basically the same size. Same with what I did with my Optik ones were 36 plus ones. So same thing here. So one of the big changes that Brian's did on their Optik 2, and they said this was one of my feedback things on the first one. I'm not taking credit for this. I'm just saying they mentioned it was a feedback thing and it was something I brought up. Was the core wasn't stiff enough for me. My Optik ones were actually kind of bent on the thigh rise after 2 years of use, so it wasn't straight up anymore. And the pad wasn't as stiff as what I wanted. This is a super stiff pad, as you can see. I'm putting a decent amount of force. I could bend this more, but the pad doesn't want to bend like that, and it doesn't bend like that when I play. That's what I like. The core is also super stiff. So when we look at this pad, it's honestly stiffer than my 2X, basically right out of the box. This thing is not moving. I mean, I can move it if I really wanted to, but this is hard and firm, and the boot is pretty soft, just like the 2X. So I said 1X earlier, just like the 2X. Awesome. Great job, Brian's. That's what I want to see. That's what I wanted different. I wanted a really stiff pad. So something I ordered was the Pro Thigh Stiffness with the Max Core. All right, so the Max Core Stiffness, as you can see with this logo right here. So they have 3 cores in this now: Max, Fly, Flex. Max is the stiffest one. Fly is for the butterfly goalie. Flex is for the more hybrid goalie with a softer internal pad. I got Max Core. I like stiff pads. The biggest thing to me about this though is how stiff this is now. So this is stiffer than the Max Core Retail. This is with the Pro Thigh Stiffness. That's extremely stiff. Very little movement going on there. Very glad that I got that. That's what I want out of these pads. In my opinion, I recommend people doing this because it will make the pads live longer. For me, the thighs, I notice them bending on my Optik ones. This will help with that as well. So I'm really happy with that. Again, really looking forward to using this pad. The side, again, you can see my custom graphic design continued out over here. Normally I think that just goes one way, but I did it the whole way through, so a little bit different right there. What else do we have here? So toe ties, I went with the Brian Smart Strap. I didn't go with the Brian's toe elastic, or can't remember what it's called, because I found that elastic wore out too fast on the side of my True Skate. So I went with this. I will take this off and actually put my Kineski laces on, because the Kineski ones have a thick kind of outside part of the actual elastic, so it should last a little bit longer. You have your strap holder right here, which I'm a huge fan of and use all the time. And then the boot strap, I will take the boot strap off because I don't use boot straps anymore. So that will be gone as I move forward. So if we look at the, actually I want to look at the side of the pad first, because I think this is a very big change that I think is really important. I did a video recently of the SLR2 Pro Carbons that I use, and I said I regretted purchasing these because I probably would have bought Pro Carbons. Now I haven't used these yet, so I can't talk about how they slide, but the SLR2 slid amazing, better than any other pad I've worn. Brian's told me that they made some changes here to make this slide even better than what the old one was, and the old one slid really well. The big change on this that I'm really excited about is this laced in knee block. Not that this was an issue on Brian's pads, because it wasn't. Like, I didn't really notice it more on Optik ones than any other pad. It's just, it was there. Is that this basically, over time, this will get softer and kind of pull out. And yeah, so this would get softer, pull out. So when you drop down, this isn't as stiff as it used to be. Kind of flops out. Get a bit of wiggle on there. This lace in piece holds everything in place tighter. This is very firm. This is tighter than most, like harder than most pads I've seen. So I'm glad that that is there, because I like firmer things like that, because I find they last a bit longer with usage and they'll kind of stay the same. This feels like it's more pronounced than it used to be. I'm curious at how this edge will work. It's not as flat as I was expecting. A lot of pads are now flat there, so I'm really curious how this is. That when you put it down like this, it does kind of bulge out. So I'm really interested in that. This pad, to be totally honest, me looking at this gear right now, and it's like, this might be my the perfect setup for me. My Optik ones were great. These are just like those small changes that make them even better. So here we are. But these are some of these are custom, like that Pro Thigh is custom and that extra stiffness is custom. So I guess we'll open this up. I got the pretty standard strapping. So as you can see through here, I did get I guess this is called their version of the Professor strap. The thing I'm super disappointed in is this is not elastic. This is nylon. Vaughn uses nylon. Everyone else I've seen, I think Kineski uses elastic. Passau uses nylon like this. Theirs feels way cheaper, to be totally honest, though, to give Brian some credit. And theirs is kind of done a different way. The snap is, I don't know which way is better, but I'm going to take this off right away because I want to see how this works without it first. And because it still has this pillow, which I really like, I'll get to in a second. So I'm going to take these out before I use them. I wish this was nylon. I also wish this was really easy to take out, but it doesn't seem like it is. It seems like it's actually sewn directly in there. Someone on GGSU commented about it and how they switched out an elastic one for this nylon one to give it a bit of stretch. Again, I find that stretch is important because when it is a nylon like this, it doesn't kind of give a little bit of stretch when you're moving. So it kind of is a little bit too tight on your leg and it doesn't work the way I really feel it should. I find with the great thing about elastics is they can be snug, and then when you need them to like flex a little bit just to kind of match your natural body movement, they do. With this, it kind of locks and it doesn't. Now, this is a personal preference thing too, because I know a lot of goalies now are using leather straps, like basically from the block to have a maximum width the way the pad can be. Like I think Hellebuck's a guy who uses it now. Price has kept his elastics or his leather straps. So there's reasons for it and people like it. I just wish this was elastic. It might have been an option. I didn't even know. I figured they were doing an elastic because I never saw this until I got my pads. The ones I saw retail never had this. So I would have ordered elastic. I'm sure they would have done it no problem. It's just something I wish it was kind of stock. I think the elastic version is the better design on that. With that said, Brian did an amazing job here with this material. Nice and thick, cushioned. You have your Nash on the other side. Very, very great design. This is similar to what Vaughn does. Vaughn's, I don't have it on me, so I can't comment which one's better. Way, way better than what, I don't mean to be ripping on it, but than what Passau does. This is such a nice thicker piece and more like soft material throughout that nylon's not really there. This is a great design. This is how they should be. So props to Brian's for that. I'm going to take this off when I use it just because I'm going to try it without it first. And yeah, so into the kind of core. Actually, one other thing I want to call out is, so a lot of people put Primo on the knee block for high wear. I don't find nylon wearing really like this. I don't find this nylon ever really wearing out. I wear socks over my knee pads, so there's never Velcro hitting anything like that. So I think that maybe that has something to do with it. But I never find this nylon wearing out, so I don't feel the need to go to Primo. This Sure Grip here is supposedly so your leg won't slide off of it. I don't know how much that's going to work. I left it stock the way it is. Good idea by them. I'm okay with that. A lot of companies put kind of grip material here, so I'm totally game with that there. But I don't really feel a need to go Primo or anything different there. Before I did this piece on the outside, and then I realized I never really used this piece. So I just left it the way it is. I can take it out if I don't use it. I probably won't. I'll probably go down here for this strap because that's what I did on my previous Optics. Well, it was a slightly different strap. So I'll go down there first, see how it is. And if I need to adjust, I will adjust obviously accordingly. So going in here now, the big thing here is this pillow. This still exists and it looks like it will still do the calf. The pillow on the Optics was one of the things that I said made the pad feel like it was cheating for you. Because basically your leg didn't have to be on the ice, but it would seal because the pillow would kind of prop it a little bit and push the pad down. Really glad it's still there. It's a great feature. It's one of my complaints about the Bauer pads is that they don't have something like this. And so I try to wear them basically as loose as possible. And it doesn't quite match one-to-one. It's not quite as nice. So I'm really excited to getting back into these and seeing how that plays. So yeah. So again, you have your Opti slide, what they advertise here. Strapping on this is very, very similar to the Genetic, which is, I don't know if I would say more simple than the Optic one. Because the Optic one did have that one giant piece that kind of formed on an inner piece right here, then had that outer leg. This kind of takes away that outer leg. So it just has that one leg. I love the Genetic strapping. It's super easy. It works really well for me. I think this will work really well for me as well. I have no problems with it. Again, looking forward to using it and seeing it. They pulled this in compared to the old outer strap or flap. So they're kind of just getting rid of materials and kind of doing it all in one. Again, I'm totally okay with that. I really like this design. Looking forward to using it. They simplified it, but I think they did it in the right way. So I got pink and white stitching on there. I like doing crazy colors. If you haven't noticed my socks in this video, I'll have a crazy color pad set coming out soon too. That will be months down the line though. But I just like a little something different. I think the pink kind of shows off cool. I did that on my Genetics as well. So it's kind of my thing. So finally, one thing I do want to call out about Brian's pads, and this is not a negative thing. This is actually a good thing. I really like what they're doing with their binding. So when your leg is down, you got all Primo, 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 and then this binding. This binding is recessed enough that I have no real worries that it's going to wear out. Maybe down here a tiny bit, but this Primo, hopefully that will get in the way probably first. So you won't have that issue like Bauer's does because it's right on the edge. This one is recessed. Should be recessed enough so that won't be an issue. Plus you have this one to rely on as well. Great design by Brian's. They deserve props in that. They used to have binding all the way through it. It was one of the reasons I didn't want to buy Brian's for a long time. They got rid of that. Their first pad was Optik. I bought it, Optik, and here we are. 3 sets, Brian sets later. So the next thing I want to talk about is, really quick, thigh rise seal and pad seal. I talked about the pass, or I kind of mentioned earlier about how the calf really seals the ice really well with that pillow. So I got the stock boot, which if you put pressure down, yeah, it raises up. But I got the stock boot on it because I haven't used a 90-degree boot in a while, I don't think, and I kind of, this way I find helps a little bit with the stance. Pad seal right here is really good so far. One of my complaints about my Optik ones is this kind of came off the ice. I had video of goals going in like that, and pucks going under like that. This does feel like it's sealed better. The stiffer core will also help with that, because the thing about my old ones was this was kind of pushed in, so it was no longer straight and it was kind of like angled. With this being a stiffer core, should be able to help with that a lot. That's really great. One thing I'm still not totally sold on is how this is segmented. So you can see how this is all one piece and this is segmented. I'm not sure why that's segmented. I think the way Vaughn does it, where how this is all one piece now for the SLR, is a great idea, because it really seems to seal better than a lot of other pads. So I'm curious to see how this works. I'm also curious why that is segmented there. There's got to be a reason for it. I'm not totally sure, but it is there. I'm calling out just because it's something I'm going to be watching out for. So yeah. Oh, I guess one other thing, outer roll. When I was thinking about ordering these pads, I meant to get this as an angled roll, and then I ordered them and totally forgot about it. They recessed it a lot because a lot of people are saying that the rolls don't matter anymore. Warriors advertising pads now that have a thicker roll to kind of cut down angles. I still think the roll is useful. I've noticed on my pads that don't have rolls, pucks that kind of hit right here can roll over, where the ones with the rolls tend not to, and the angled ones like that, like my Bowers. I personally meant to order this and I totally forgot. It's not a big deal, but it is something, if like I was doing this again, that's something I would change because I forgot. Anyways, so now we're on to the glove and blocker. Now, I have been very critical about this Brian's blockers in the past. I thought their gloves are excellent. I thought their pads are excellent, with some improvement. I think these hit that improvement thing really well. But I still thought their blockers were really lacking compared to specifically Bauer, but also some of the other brands as well. So I got some mods done on this blocker, which is nice that Brian says that. They are the custom goal company. So they do changes like that. But I guess I'll talk about that. So this board, my complaint about Optik 1 was the board was too soft, so rebounds were too soft, and the sideboard was too weak, and it was super flimsy. The whole thing was super flimsy. This is much stiffer all the way around. You can see it's not like, it still moves, but it doesn't bend in half like the old one did, where the pillow was basically the only thing holding it out. So what I did in here, I got a plastic insert for extra rebounds basically, and for a stiffer board. So this board does feel very stiff. It does feel more hefty than the retail board that I had before, or the retail blocker I had before. I also got extra padded in here. I found that I was feeling some shots on the Optik 1 towards the end of its life. And well, I should say at 2 years, I didn't use it a ton though, but that also really tightens the backhand up a lot. You can see how thick this is. You can kind of see where the two inner parts are. I love that. Just snugs everything up really nice for me, so I really like that. The hand position of this glove, I'm really interested in actually, because I haven't used, well, okay, the other blocker I have to match this set is a 1X, so the fingers are lower. This one, obviously the hand position's higher, so the fingers don't extend past the board. So I'm excited to use this and try it out for that. I found that I've been getting beat low blocker recently quite a bit. So hopefully this kind of adds or aids in that a little bit, just because the hand position helps you there. I think it looks great. The balance feels pretty good. It's a little tilted to the outside when you wear it. That's fine. Should push stuff in the corner. This could still be stiffer in my eyes. I still don't think this is as good as what the Sub-Zero 3 was. And even the Heritage originally was. I think that could still be stiffer. And I kind of designed out on the outside of the board. but it is what it is. It's way better than the Optik one, so I'm a huge fan of that. The palm and everything. So I didn't get any boa, because I found boa really annoying when I had a wrist brace, and I found I couldn't get anything tight, like to the point of where it was tight and snug, but I could still slide my gloves off. I find that much easier to do with these. This feels super tight and snug with this leather strap where it is, and I can just slide my hand off. I can't really do that with the boa. So that's why I didn't do that. Sure grip on the palm, really nice, and on the finger. One of my favorite features of this blocker is the super padded index finger. So Brian's added foam, kind of, let's see if I can see it. Nope. So Brian's added this little piece on the outside here for foam, for extra protection. CCM does that now with D3O. I think a couple other companies do. I can't remember. I love that. I got hit on the fingertip the other day wearing my, what was it? My 2X, and it was annoying. Or no, my 1X blocker, and it was annoying. I really wish there was something padded there. So I'm glad that's there. Helps just if it just nicks off a fingertip type thing, squeaks by. Other awesome thing about this is you can adjust the fingertip tightness. So this will come down more, or it will be looser. So I always really liked Brian's fingertip protection when it was segmented, because it kind of follows your hand. So I'm a fan of that all the way through. It's pretty good. It's not super hard, but I've had no issues with their stuff. Like with their fingertip protections. It's pretty good. I should say it's really good. So yeah, that's the blocker board. Definitely mods done on this. Thumb is okay. It's very flexible, as you can see. But I still wish the thumb was kind of more molded around. I wish it was kind of like your thumb was inside the plastic mold. I think Bauer does a good job on that. This one doesn't really have that, but I can't see it being a huge deal. But just something to look out for, I guess, or something that I would personally change. So catching glove. This is a Pro Palm, as you can see by this little tag right there. Pro Palm, 1/8 of an inch. That's a closer of a Pro Palm. That is pretty awesome. That's better than what my Optik 1 was. And that's not as awesome as my Genetic one was, but the Genetic is on another level. This is pretty amazing right out of the box. Really looking forward to using this. I love that seal. It's very good. Again, out of the box, haven't done anything to it, and it's basically perfectly closed. Little work-in will really seal that in a little bit more too. And everything about this feels awesome. I was a huge fan of the Optik 1 catching glove. It was basically my favorite glove until I tried the Genetic 5 or Genetic 4, sorry. So I'm really interested in this to see how this works. I liked the 2 different break angles. I can't remember what it is, but they worked well for me. You can see how angled and scooped it all is. I got a reinforced tee. I found for my Optik and Genetic, pucks would sometimes hit that and it would bend that way. This, when I squeeze, it bounces out. Where if I do that with the Genetic, it stays in there. So that's why I went with the reinforced tee. Something interesting too is the tee here isn't straight on, so it's not right on the tee. It's a little bit offset with a split tee, which is pretty cool. This doesn't mean much. Comes out here. We'll see how it is on the ice. I haven't had a problem with that with Brian's gloves in the past. So I can't really see it being a huge problem right now. But that's about, well, I guess we'll open it up just to show it off too. I don't really understand the whole mesh part here, but it's kind of the design for the Optik tube. Interesting. So as you can see, I'm not going to open it all the way because you don't really need to. It opens really well. Finger stalls. You have sure grip all the way through. This thing opens up amazingly, so you can really air this out. I guess we'll do it just to show it, which is very impressive. Like that's, you can't air out a glove better than that. So you have some nice materials all the way through. Just I don't know what that is exactly, but just a nice nylon, sure grip on the palm, your individual finger stalls, which I love, and which I got put on the, sorry, not individual. This one is, so it's for your ring and pinky. It's more of a baseball style that I really like, and then these ones have individual ones. I'm a huge fan of this style, and that's what I got on my Genetic, so because I really like these loops. And then you have this. This is one of my favorite parts of Brian's gloves, to be totally honest, is how comfy this is with this hex foam or hex air. This material is super soft, super comfortable, feels great on the wrist. It's nice and padded. Glove is awesome all around. Really looking forward to using this tomorrow. And it's even more broken in when you undo it, so I can just adjust those straps a bit. Awesome glove out of the box. Huge, huge fan of it. Really looking forward to using this. So I have basically I have 3 games left with the team that I bought these for, which is the Bulldogs. So I'll be using these as much as possible to see if I can break them in and get them ready for the games and for playoffs. I also have 3 games. I have 1 game left with Tigers, which is my orange team with the genetics. So I'll be using this in that game, again, just to see if I can break it in. And I have 2 games left with the Blades team, which is the blue and green, well, my blue and green set. I haven't been able to find a blocker or catch and go. I use an orange one with that blade set. So I'm going to see if I can use this set with the blades. It has red, blades don't have red, but my set has green, blades don't have green. So I'm seeing if I can grab these in and put them straight to work right away. Again, 3 games, 3 nights so far. So I'm going to look forward to it. I'll do a bunch of content on these as well coming out and a full review once I really get to use them. So thank you very much for watching this very long video. Hopefully it was kind of helpful and insightful, and you thought it was interesting. Remember to like my video, subscribe to me on YouTube, hit the bell icon so you get notified of when I make new content. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter, links are in the description. Helps me get gear so I can do reviews and make content like this. Now this wasn't sent to me, I paid for this. And that's why it came a bit later. But yeah, so reach out to companies if you ever do buy a piece of equipment because of one of my videos, or if you want me to review a piece of equipment, reach out to a company and let them know. Because I can't afford to buy every set out on the market, although I try, and I definitely can't afford to buy every stick on the market. Again, I try. But yeah, so that would be really helpful for me. Again, thank you very much for watching. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know below, and take it easy.